Well, the last time I talked to you about this boat situation, me and old Lem was out there in that canoe of mine with an air compressor hooked onto a lawnmower. Lem had floated that boat up to the surface, and we's headed to the bank. I said, Lem, don't try to flip that boat over no more, son. You're going to kill yourself. I said, just hang on, and I'll paddle us back to the boat ramp. So I commenced to paddling across that lake. We got all the way to the boat ramp, and there stood a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service game warden. He said, I guess you boys have got a license for that boat. I said, yes, sir, we do. I said, it's kind of hard to see it because it's under the water, but yeah, we do. He said, no, I'm talking about that canoe you're in. I said, this old canoe? I said, I ain't ever had a title nor a license, neither one for it. I said, but I didn't think we had to have a license for boats that didn't have a motor. He said, that thing's got a motor. I heard it running out there. I said, no, sir, that ain't a motor. Well, it's a motor, but it ain't for this boat. So that's an air compressor. He said, an air compressor? What are you doing with an air compressor? I said, if I tried to explain it to you, I don't think you'd understand and believe it. He said, let me guess, you was out there salvaging scrap metal. I said, well, in a way, yes, but not really. I said, we was trying to get my boat off the bottom. My old buddy out here, he sunk it a couple days ago, and we come out here to get it off the bottom. He said, well, I'm going to need to see your identification. I said, all right. So I got my wallet out. He said, I'm going to need to see your partner's information too. Well, I told you earlier that when old Lem jumped in the water, all he had on was a pair of worn-out old boxer shorts. Well, a lot went on between the time he hit the water and the time we got back to the boat ramp. Old Lem come walking up that boat ramp. He didn't have a stitch of clothing on. He didn't have nothing on but that scuba gear. Looked like naked James Bond coming up out of that water. Whew. I seen more of Lem Parsons that day than I ever wanted to see in my life. He said, let me guess. You didn't have no swim trunks, so you just went skinny dipping. I said, I'd have never let him do that, sir. I said, I reckon what he went in the water with must have come off. Well, I think he'd have cut us some slack, and I think the whole thing would have been over. But about that moment, I looked up the hill, and hand to my heart, 3 big old white vans from the Hillside Pentecostal Church coming driving down there to that boat ramp. I said, Lem, son, get yourself covered up. So he grabbed his overalls and run over there to the porta potty and put his overalls on. I'm pretty sure them ladies from the Pentecostal church got a little more of a show than they was expecting, though. Whew. So me and the game warden, we was having a good laugh about it, and they drove right on down there to the ramp. And the feller jumped out, I'm assuming was a preacher. He said, y'all don't mind if we do a baptismal service here, do you? I said, well, I don't want to get in the way of the Lord's work, so y'all just go right on ahead. So we sat there and waited. Me and Lem in his overalls and that game warden. They went ahead. They baptized 16 people that day. We ended up singing Shall We Gather at the River right along with them. Oh. Well, when they finished up, the preacher says, anything we can do to help you out? And I said, well, now that you mention it, I could probably use a couple extra hands getting this boat loaded up on this trailer. He said, all right, we'll do it. So everybody that just got baptized walked right back down in the water with Lem, clothed somewhat at this point. We went to turning that boat over. We got her flipped over. And Lem put the plug back in, which was the beginning of this whole story. I said, I appreciate it, y'all. They got back in their vans and went on their way, and the game warden checked all the numbers, and they all matched up all right. And me and Lem was there till 8:30 that night. Fortunately, this was summertime and it didn't get dark real quick. We bailed all the water out of that boat. I backed the trailer down in the water. We loaded it up. We threw that old canoe on top of it. We headed home. I said, Lem Parsons, son, I don't think anybody would ever believe this story. And I can guarantee you, I wouldn't believe it unless I was here to witness it. And the other thing is, boy, from now on, wash your darn boxers and bring some swim trunks if you're going to get in the water. Oh. But we didn't get a ticket, so it worked out all right.